Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we are discussing an early 2000s Roger Dubuis sports activity watch. This is from the SAW collection. It is the Easy Diver Chronograph. So you can see the watch is large in rose gold at 46 millimeters in diameter. The basic case shape draws from the original Sympathy lines, but it is much larger here with a highly stylized triple lug junction with the strap, inserts of carbon fiber in the flanks, and of course a chronograph profile with a dive watch rotating bezel. It is a large timepiece, not just 46 millimeters in diameter, but 15 millimeters thick and 58.1 millimeters lug to lug with a little bit of stiffness in the strap. You see how I can't pull it straight down? So this one wears almost like a 48 millimeter watch when it's on the wrist. It is a 28-piece limited edition. We'll throw it on my wrist of 16 centimeters circumference so you can get a good sense of the size of the watch. Large, very large, to the point that I would even say you need an 18 centimeter circumference wrist to wear this well. Now, it's not super thick, all things considered. It'll fit underneath a jacket cuff, but if you look at its breadth across the wrist, it's almost comically oversized on a 16 centimeter wrist, so 18 centimeters. Big guys, this watch is for you. It does feel very solid, though. If you believe an expensive watch should feel expensive and you eschew titanium, carbon fiber, and ceramic, your watch has arrived. Now, in order to better mate the strap to the case through this triple lug junction, you can see a couple things are going on. First, screws and bars are used to hold the strap to the case, which I'd like to see because that gives you more security with this large, heavy, and expensive watch than if these were spring bars. That's part of the reason that the center lug is in place. It better anchors the strap. You can also see that a little carbon fiber end link is used on each side so that there's no gap between strap and case. Now, in the evacuated flanks of the lug, you will also find carbon fiber inserts at all four corners. The strap has a little bit of a molded pattern. You can see that it tapers as we move down away from the lugs. It also tapers in profile, though not a whole lot. On the opposite side, you'll note that there is some scoring. There are pre-scored sections that allow you to cut this strap to length, and we'll help you with that. Then there are 3 divots inside the clasp that allow you to change the anchoring point to fine-tune the fit. You can see it is the Roger Dubuis Easy Diver. It says RD externally. We have twin trigger release. Press the triggers, everything pops open. If you look internally, you can see the RD logo repeats as a motif. And this has the RD maker's mark. Roger Dubuis was making its own cases and clasps at this point. Single fold, twin trigger actuated deployant. The case, like I said, inspired by the old Sympathy, but much larger and more massive. There's an unusual use of vertical satination along the case band. Usually case bands are longitudinal satination. Lug hoods are polished, the case hood is polished, but you can see that the actual tops of the case at the 4 corners are satinated. The top that has been polished is actually a bezel that sits atop the case. So there's that primary bezel, and then there is the rotating secondary bezel atop that. It's this upper bezel that really emulates the shape of the old Sympathy. Now we have an enormous Roger Dubuis branded crown here, along with screw-down chronograph pushers. All this is 300 meters water resistant, so it is a true diver. Now we've got a column wheel for function selection, and this being based on the Lamagna 2310, column wheel feel is outstanding. The dial has a carbon fiber-like pattern embossed on it. It's not actually a carbon fiber dial. We have applied and polished hour indices along with skeletonized hands. We have a little counterweighted chronograph seconds hand. We'll do a quick loom shot so you can see this one in the dark. Very easy to see. Also note that the chronograph seconds hand features differential loom so you can easily judge it in the dark. Bezel feel is excellent. You will note that the bezel doesn't have a luminescent pearl. So when you line it up with the minute hand, you will need light in order to reference the relative position of the hand and the bezel. But it's a 120 click with a sharp and incredibly positive action. You can really hear and feel it. I'll do my best to show you what's on the back here. There we go. Okay, just for friends. People always ask, what does that mean? Well, in the early 2000s, as Roger Dubuis withdrew from the creative process, his business partner, Carlos Diaz, became a greater and greater influence on the design of Roger Dubuis watches, and he realized that his design aesthetic, his taste in watch design was going to be polarizing. So he often included that line, just for friends, on the watches. Sounds a little bit like OnlyFans, but we're just going to say this one's just for friends. Now, taking a quick look, we've got 28 of 28, and that means that this is the final in the series. I always like the first or the last of a series, and this one is that. Geneva hallmark on the case, Geneva hallmark on the movement. This is a Lemania 2310, so under other guises, it went to the moon as the Omega 321 and did comparable haute horlogerie service as the Patek Philippe CH2770. Now it is a high horology, Geneva hallmark finished movement, manual wind, 48-hour power reserve, 18,000 vibrations per hour. It pivots on 21 jewels. It has an overcoil hairspring for concentric breathing and consistent timekeeping in any physical position. That's the advantage of an overcoil. You can see it has an enormous balance that's almost the radius of the movement. Do my best to remove some of the fingerprints from this case back here. You can also see that it is obviously a lateral clutch chronograph with a capped Geneva-style column wheel, and the finish is world-class. You can also see that it has been adjusted to 5 positions, which is the high horology and chronometer standard. So while the exterior is boisterous, the interior is lush and pedigreed. This is an unusual watch and a difficult one to classify, as most watches that are this in-your-face bold tend to be rather slipshod in terms of materials, finish, and standards, whereas this could go toe-to-toe and finish with a Calatrava or another boutique independent. It is indeed a watch that is just for friends of that particular idiosyncratic Roger Dubuis dichotomy. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.